what is the BOIR?
So the BOIR stands for the Beneficial Ownership Information Report. It is a new required report, new for this year, for 2024. The law passed a few years ago, but it's implemented as of January 1st, 2024. It is part of FinCEN, which is the Financial Crimes Unit of the Treasury Department. They're demanding to collect information on the beneficial owners of all U.S. registered entities. Almost all. There are some exceptions to the rule here. They are demanding information on who owns these entities in the U.S. Now, I want to clarify, because we talk a lot about privacy as a public record thing. So when you register, for example, an LLC in Wyoming, it is completely private from a public record standpoint. The BOIR does not change that. The BOIR does not put your information anywhere in public record. It is only a form you file with FinCEN. They do not make that public record. There's, aside from being a major criminal and the judge subpoenaing FinCEN for your BOIR report, there's no way for anyone to ever see that. It doesn't change anything from an anonymity standpoint in a public record, but you are submitting your personal information to FinCEN associated with this entity. And so it's a report that you have to file. The law passed, or it passed a couple of years ago, but it took effect this year. If you registered your entity, any U.S. entity, LLC, corporation, whatever, prior to January 1st, 2024, so anytime in 2023 or earlier, you have until the end of 2024, till 12/31/2024, to file your BOIR. If you register an entity since January 1st, 2024, you have 90 days to complete that filing from the date your entity is registered. They gave you a little bit of a grace period for previously registered entities, but new ones, you have 90 days to complete that. Basically, you're telling them who owns it and your personal information, who you are, where you live, and your contact details. So it's relatively straightforward. There are some strange variable questions on there that are a bit ambiguous, so it's not the easiest form to fill out, but once you've done a few of them, it's not that bad. But it is a requirement. If you don't file this form, it is a $500 per day fine for not filing it. It will be retroactive. So, for example, if you had an entity that let's say you filed an LLC in 2023, so you have 1 year to do it, and you go all year and you say, I'm not going to do it, or I'll do it later, and you forget about it. If you don't file that form on or before December 31st, 2024, they will go back and fine you $500 a day. Let's say you missed it and you file it on January 1st, 2025. They will fine you $500 a day for the entire year, 365 times $500 a day for the entire year of 2024. It's not a form you want to not file. It can get very, very expensive. If I'm not mistaken, there is a period, it's a $500 a day per fine, but there is a period where you now are delinquent on the fine, and they start charging you interest, monthly interest on it as well. It is a form you really do need to file. You're not giving up any privacy when it comes to public record stuff. The penalty for not doing it is pretty crazy. So there are a few exemptions where you don't need to file it. If you are a registered financial institution, meaning you have a license to operate as a financial service provider, like a bank, a trust company, a savings and loan, a credit union, a stock brokerage, a registered investment fund, like a hedge fund, something like that. If you are a registered financial company already, you do not need to file the BOIR. You're exempt because you are already regulated by another agency where you have already submitted your beneficial ownership information anyway that was part of your licensing. If you are a publicly traded company, you do not need to file it because you are regulated by basically the exchange where you have your company registered, so you don't need to file in that case. And then if you're doing more than $5 million in annual revenue year over year, consistently doing $5 million over $5 million in revenue year over year, you do not need to register or file the BOIR. And if you have a non-active entity, and by non-active, I mean it has no assets, no income, no expenses, no financial transactions, and it owns nothing. So an example would be maybe you registered an LLC 5 or 10 years ago, you used it for several years, the business stopped or the investment stopped or whatever, and you have maintained the LLC. You have no bank account with no money in it, but you've maintained the LLC. Maybe you're going to use it for another project in the future. You would not need to file a BOIR on that as long as it remains in inactive status. But otherwise, which 90% of us are going to meet the criteria for, 90% of us are going to have to, or more, are going to have to file that BOIR or suffer some pretty hefty penalties. So I highly recommend it. And to file it, if you just Google search, you just type in FinCEN BOI. BOI stands for Beneficial Ownership Information. You can find the site really easily there. You would have to register on the site and then complete it online. If you are a client of Business Anywhere, we do that filing, that compliance filing on your behalf, but we don't do it for companies that we're not registered agent for, that are not our clients, because basically we don't have all your details to do it. So we only do it for our existing or new clients.
If you'd like Business Anywhere to help you create an LLC, use the link in the description below and enter the code BEGIN15 at checkout to save 15%, excluding the state fees. If you'd like to see the step-by-step process of creating an LLC with Business Anywhere, watch this video right here, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye-bye.